It is
This is it.
10:39,
started.
and we are going to begin this work session of the Lake County Board of County Commissioners. Today, we will be going over all things Department of Local Affairs. And this will be led by both Randy Sneed and Candace Bryans. I saw your name on there, I thought.
I think I'm just introducing it.
You're
because she's
okay,
got
I'm just
that.
going off pure
That's-
memory off, I don't have the agenda, so hopefully that's pretty close.
Yes, she's leading it.
Alright,
You guys will listen and talk
Excellent.
about budget a lot.
And you guys,
Yeah.
Someone's really helpful and I took it.
what do you need? The what?
The HDMI.
Oh, yeah,
What's your presentation materials?
that's just a slideshow. Can I shoot it to you?
Yeah, do you wanna send it to BOCC room?
Yeah, I'm sorry, y'all.
No,
you're
that's
all
fine.
good. Yeah, I have an HDMI cord.
We were going
that-
so
is this it
slow,
right
I
here?
should have just
Oh,
prepared
this
in the
looks like
car.
an HDMI cord.
Yeah, we can do that.
Wow.
So the challenge with the
No.
HDMI cord, it's gonna be pushing from your computer, so it is gonna mess up our Zoom.
Oh, okay, no. Let
So,
me just get.
good
it.
eye.
Okay, we don't need it though.
Good
Why
iPad.
didn't Liz
And then she can
long
have the
It's not very long. Needs to be like 20 feet. Get over here, yeah?
Alright,
He said, I'll really leave the chair by the.
So we'll sit on the next slide.
I think there's gonna be some hero dirt out there on the trails now, just good mountain biking.
Hero dirt.
Hero
I
dirt.
like that. Tell me
Yeah.
more. What is it?
So like when it's super dry,
Yeah.
that's moon dust, and you're basically breathing everyone's
Yeah,
footprints, tire tracks in front of you when you're conga line fun on the trails. When there's rain and the moisture soaks into the dirt, your turns and everything hook
Oh,
up
that's hero
really
dust.
good. It's like you've
yeah,
got the best tires that have ever been created, even if your tires are bald and
yeah.
worn out, you can hook up so good, just you're a superhero, you can't slide
A
out.
BOCC room at
I
Lake County
Did a
Co.
food tour in Lisbon,
.gov.
and one of the people who was on the tour loves riding in Leadville dirt bikes.
Really?
Yeah, he's from Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay,
Anyway, it was just so serendipitous. He was like, "Oh, you're from Leadville? I love dirt biking up in Leadville. Don't get rid of any public lands." I was like, "Sir, that is not."
not
Something
understandable.
y'all's purview so far.
No,
what I
the
did.
thing is
I don't
that
have
But it
any
was
training
cool.
on that.
it's sort of like Fight Club, we don't talk about the dirt biking up here, cause there isn't any.
Well, I told him I was a county commissioner, so he knew.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
the
there
track is
isn't
the
any.
only,
We have a track.
we have a track, that's it, but most people, when they talk about dirt biking, they're talking about the
Lisa.
100 miles of, well, and Zion.
And Zion, right.
Zion's got a lot. Good work with BLM to figure out how to redesignate.
Okay, it's on its way.
We did.
So let me just, are you guys ready? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, of course,
So
we're
ready.
just chatting.
YouTube-ish.
Me too, ish.
It's not on the road anymore, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And breathe. So Candace and I talked a lot about kind of the specifics that you all are looking for some training on, and Tim and I spent a lot of time talking about how to prepare with a new 3-person board.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that you guys did some intensive onboarding. But I wanted to basically start out today, so we have we try to just kind of meet you where you're at, so if you're like hiring or doing something really specific, we can come and drill down. We've got a whole team at the headquarters that does just local government service information. They're the ones trying to figure out how to do every time they change the property tax law, and then the next year comes around, they change it again, and they stay up all night figuring it out and helping your treasurers, things like that. So we've got some really intensive budget trainings. We've got we can do kind of a strategic planning session for technical assistance to get you guys kind of making sure that you understand what the priorities that you have in common that you're working towards, understanding if you have any kind of divergence, what your, those kind of big picture conversations, so we have good ethics training, so I'm putting that out there because I'm starting with the basics today. And trying to get an idea of how we can tailor more technical assistance for you guys from whatever part of my team that needs to happen from, so if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay, there it is.
You hit control cross on the keyboard to make it bigger, and then Randy can take over with the mouse.
Ooh, I have all the control.
That's good, that's better for me, thanks.
Randy, do you do TIF trainings?
I know people that do.
Through, no, not you, through DOLA, does DOLA do? any
Actually,
TIF training?
DCI is a group that is lead in Colorado
Okay,
for TIF trainings. They've financed some really cool projects and are starting to use TIF tax increment financing in more rural areas, which I've been kind of suspicious about, and it's sort of working great, so that's gonna be the resource I would point you to for those guys.
thank you.
I've been with DOLA since 2018. Before that I was worked in a municipality in Crete where I grew up, so I get the chills in a lot of places in Leadville, cause it's like, there's so many similarities, old creepy mining towns that are poorly platted and I get it.
Oh, you've been here before.
So this is my region, it's the most beautiful, best region in the state, sadly for the other 7 regional managers. It's sort of large, 10, so I'm on the road a lot. Usually it goes better than it did this morning. We have 5 divisions. Our biggest division is the Division of Housing, which you all know pretty intimately, with Jackie's and Lake County's work with housing. And then I'm with the Division of Local Government. So we do all sorts of things. We funnel most of the state's funding, mostly state, a little bit federal, we're about 20% federal grant funds. But our bread and butter is the Energy Impact Assistance Fund, which is extraction revenue. We serve all of Colorado with it, but it is slightly weighted to fund local governments with a really high impact score, and Lake County has a great impact score. I think it's at a 9 this year out of 10.
Oh, wow.
So not really the case for the rest of my region because it's all based on extraction, so congratulations.
Is extraction like gas, oil, mining, anything else in that I'm
No, it's and mostly oil and gas, so
nothing?
the really big contributors are like Weld County and Rio Blanco. So because of that work, our regular funding is that, not that this is a regular year, that we have a smaller fund called the Rural Economic Development Initiative, which we've used. I can't really think of a recent project in Leadville, but it's creative projects and the funding has to be tied to maintaining or building jobs. And we also manage CDBG, Community Development Block Grant. And we do that, our team just does it for public facilities and it's used a lot in housing. So that's one we're kind of worried about right now. But we use that a lot to help out like small water and sewer systems. We can partner with nonprofits without particular funding. Anyway, so all that is to say, we're pretty good at getting money out the door, so in addition to that, when the legislature wants to do some one-time program, we usually get tasked with like setting that up and doing it. I think Lake County's had some strong communities funding, for example, is just a big pot of funding that's now gone. So I send your managers a whole bunch of confusing information when that is the case, and they sort through it. We also do like property assessment appeals and property tax, so a lot of your staff has a close relationship with us through those other divisions.
Hills and property tax?
Sorry,
Hilts, or what'd you say?
Hills, what is that?
Sorry,
Appeals.
assessment appeals, so when
Assessment appeals.
when a property owner is protesting you guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've been getting mail for that day,
Yes,
yes,
that's
to
us.
Oh, good.
Mark and everyone.
I'm not gonna lie, that side of the house is
That's
kind of a mystery to me.
That's great.
I'm sorry, just
Just
let's
the next day, and I'm like, Mark, what is this?
Okay. So, besides the funding, this is one of our roles, our in-depth training and catering at that to what your needs are. And then as many resources as we can sort of collect and provide from other partners, like Downtown Colorado Inc., for example, with the TIF training, to help with all the work that you're doing here.
We can definitely use infrastructure support.
As a country, no, okay.
Yes.
So, I wanted to just do, since I've never gotten to do this with you all, just the grounding authority, the basics of what you do and why you're here. Local government is, exists through a series of, enabling authority, what you're spelled out, what you're allowed to do, granted to local governments through statute. Chris can talk lots and lots and lots of more about that, but the point is, your main job is to preserve public order and tranquility. Public health, safety, and general welfare, and this is especially true for counties. Sorry, I'm not used to the PDF. So to some extent, counties are mercifully relieved of most utility responsibilities, especially with, you guys have two kind of powerhouse special districts for water and sewer, and then, but I will say that I think a common theme here has been the sprinkling of small special districts that are super under-resourced, and the water and sewer systems in this county are particularly kind of a challenge, so you probably have to deal with that a little bit more than most counties. Welfare, so all the stuff, again, you guys are so special.
That's so nice to
Particularly
hear.
here in Lake County. You certainly have more involvement in all of these things. Libraries are often a special district or purview of a municipality, much like rec facilities and parks, so
Uh-huh.
y'all dabble.
What
Here and
don't
there.
we do, really?
What else? Should have made this list much longer for you. And then the housekeeping, of course, the statutory responsibilities of your elected, non-commissioner elected officials. Let's see how many of these I can run at a time. So, I wanted to spend a moment here because I know that this is something that we've invested a lot of money here in Lake County establishing. We deeply believe in a council manager form of government. And that's what we promote throughout the state, and we support new managers. We supported when you guys hired Tim and sort of transitioned from the commissioners doing a whole lot of administrative work. That form of government used to be really common. It's certainly still around. What we've found is that the most highly functional and successful governments are run by some form of council manager. They did a study here about 10 years ago that proved that it was about a manager form of government reduced corruption or financial impropriety by about 57%. So it's just kind of a really good democratic checks and balances, like everyone knows their role and everyone has a lane. So that's sort of just the background of why we endorse it.
I need a council. You said a council manager. Do you want
Sorry,
We are the
Yes.
council, she's
Yes.
the
Okay,
manager.
cool. Just double checking.
and that term is obviously born out of municipalities, but
Yeah.
same, a board manager,
Did you support the city in their transition too?
Yep.
Cool.
same time.
Yeah, that was wild. You were here a lot.
that was my predecessor, Christy June,
Hmm.
who's in Salida now. It was an adventure, I was there for the tail end of those contracts, so. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out that like, it wasn't that long ago. So I think there's still gonna be some, figuring out kind of what that actually looks like, and you have this opportunity because you're all new to sort of move forward with that path, and keep up that, policy. So you all are policy setters, you're the legislators. You're here to provide direction and communication, but not to micromanage the ins and outs of administrative tasks that the staff has the responsibility to deal with. You have fiduciary responsibility for the budget. That is really challenging in a county situation because you're responsible for other elected officials' budgets, so thank you so much for taking this important role and being brave like that. Using the enabling authority that you have to protect public interest, so a lot of your legislative challenges will rise out of that basic government responsibilities that we talked about.
It's so hard to remember what the core things are. There's so many distractions and little fires to put out that like, it's so easy to forget that like, this is what you need to focus on. Like our list.
So,
Oh, yeah.
Sort of, like,
it's so pretty.
I just literally was like, I wanna erase that right now.
I do, I have many things to erase, I
I
can't.
want to like redesign it a little bit, I'm gonna.
Don't look at it. Don't look at it, don't look at it.
Yeah,
I wasn't.
we've evolved a little bit.
We did that
This
months
was-
ago,
yeah.
don't even,
So,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get into that.
Okay.
And functionality around that and keeping your North Stars.
Yeah.
In place, it's really, really difficult. Do I need to say particularly Lake County again?
yeah. Hey, wait, can we pause for a
Because
second?
there's so many special interests and so many sort of people coming to Lake County for like, as if you're a grant foundation or as if, and to provide a little bit help here and help here and help here, and that's impossible.
Have you seen our list of
Sorry.
nonprofits?
I have, it is super impressive. But we'll kind of talk about prioritizing and working through how to best serve your top priorities, to the extent that you can, and I know you guys get yanked in all sorts of different directions, that's probably the hardest thing about being an elected official. So you are responsible, and this is a really important responsibility for just hiring your staff, especially your core management staff, can change everything about how healthy an organization is. So that is something that has to be really taken seriously. And then appointing boards along the same vein for a particular project of your, I can't imagine how many appointed advisory boards you'll have, maybe.
Only two,
So, oh, good.
and they both did
So-
not.
So that's it's a big responsibility, but also a really useful tool in not being in charge of every detail of every policy. So thinking about how boards, advisory boards can work to serve your purposes. General direction, ongoing two-way communication, you're half of that communication between staff piece. And then having your staff's back, it's hugely important. So these are just some good tips, things to remember.
I'm really working on the first one.
I think you're succeeding.
That was not as
think you're
important
doing
in my
well.
region,
I
we
just-
just all tried to make it out.
That last letter you wrote was great.
Thank you. Alright.
So Candace and her team. On the other side, her responsibility is to build that budget. And it's probably starting now, or already has started, because the draft is due to you by October 15th. And that's a ton of work. That there's a nuance there that can kind of be a pain point between boards and staff. Is sort of that trust in how she's calculating it. Her communicating the resources that she's using to build that budget. The many pressures you have on your budget. Understanding how much detail that is, and you guys having to balance being accountable and being able to answer to the public about those details, but not getting lost in the weeds. And making sure that what is important to you about the budget is understanding your big picture, the future of your revenue, whether or not you're meeting those core government services that you're beholden to. So that's a tough one. And just requires a whole bunch of communication. If I have a question,
Yes.
please ask me questions.
Say a small county is in a position where they've got
This one.
many positions that have been left vacant and your county manager is wearing like 1,000 different hats. Does DOLA have any kind of like support team or like people you can reach out to, like, hey, we're missing several key components right now and there's some people who are really stretched thin trying to handle all that stuff. Do you guys have like a support group that come in and help with certain tasks or anything like that?
It's not necessarily our role. You guys really have to meet those needs. We have a lot of resources and I've done budgets for itty bitty towns that don't have anyone working there, right? Just spend an afternoon, but for the most part, you guys are a county organization and have to be able to kind of fill in and support this person and keep an eye on risk of burnout and that kind of thing, and it has gotten really impossible. But understanding that like none of this happens without that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's just what we care about, not necessarily what we're doing.
No, yeah.
Just to be clear. Okay.
Just yesterday it was like hard stop on everything. What do we need to do to?
Sure, and I would imagine that that's probably at the top of your priority list is getting positions filled.
It's at the top of her priority list when she's doing it.
Sure. Supporting how, in however you can. Candace is the chief advisor, so her responsibility is, has, as far as the decisions that you're making, the legislation that you're making, is to ensure that you have enough information to make that decision. Your responsibility, and this can be the case when there's a lot of tension or just not, keep circling the drain on an issue. Your responsibility is to say, I don't have enough information to make this decision, and go back to her, and her responsibility is to come back with more, right? Her team carries out the board's policies, that's the check and the balance. You're making policy, staff is carrying them out. Should never be involved in carrying out any of your own policies, that's messy and can get you into hot water. Complete and objective information about local operations, so she has an obligation to say, this is kind of how it's working here at Lake County, this is how this department is working, these are the issues. Objective is a really important part of a manager's role. It's part of our code of ethics. is to provide information equitably to every elected official and without bias. Pros and cons of alternatives, assessment of long-term consequences, so she also kind of has a duty when advising you about your policies to be honest, and that can be another pain point.
Specifically here.
I'm accused of being a really excessively honest person. But that is something that you need as a governing body, and she needs to have, her and her team need to have the safety to do so. Exemplary salaries. Policy recommendations is in there again, gonna note to just delete one of those. And that says town, sorry. But she is bound by whatever decision that you guys make is another important responsibility of a manager.
Yeah,
I'm on the
little
wrong.
baby birds in there, so the bird nest.
Subdivision is,
What's that?
this one doesn't do that.
No, one in both of them. It's okay.
Oh, you're changing it in one? Oh my god, okay. Oh, wow.
The slide transitions are gonna be rough, my brain doesn't work all that fast. So just to review, you guys are accountable to Lake County folks. She's accountable to you. You appoint her, she appoints everybody else. That has some nuance sometimes, but you guys are responsible for legal compliance, like you're you know, your name will be on the court documents. But she's managing the organization to ensure that. Govern, manage, policy, implementation. Develops and prioritizes goals. It's a responsibility and we're gonna work on it.
Thank you. Cause oh my god.
And the staff is responsible for delivering and implementing. Creates the budget, you approve the budget. You guys manage meetings, your staff manages information and agenda. That role is so important and overlooked for a functional organization to where you guys are getting together annually and talking about priorities and really crafting that strategic plan eventually. And but you're not gonna be the one to remember in 6 months that this is when we need to start working on this if we're gonna achieve XYZ goal. So that making sure that all of your goals are fed into kind of how you do your day-to-day job from when you have those 30,000-foot conversations is a really important function of the manager office in order for your goals to be actually accomplished.
Whoa.
And the rest of your staff, all sorts of things, right? I'm way broader than this for a county. We know that. Citizens are there to, you know, drive you a little crazy, but their responsibility as citizens, and this is important to remember on the bad days, is to participate fully in their government, ask questions and offer input and solutions. So, wonder if, I just asked if anyone wants to volunteer any challenges you've had with the three of you working together. And that might be an awkward question, you don't have to say anything.
I honestly am like mega stoked on
Yes.
the right hand side, the left hand side.
We love to
I
hear it.
think we are, yeah.
I'm surprised, I'm honestly impressed, I think we've all spoken to like how well we work together with respect, with disagreement, with
Sure,
compromise.
good job.
I think that's the one thing we didn't need training on, we all brought it.
Really immature, but on rougher days, like you can find all sorts of different stories in the news about that not happening. You just need to feel better about your relationships, really good medicine.
There's probably some like, there's gotta be a top 10 recorded dysfunctional meetings list somewhere of like.
I think they're happening right now, it's been wild out there.
I'd say some are working their way through the courts.
They are.
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah. Wait, Matt, what about you, what do you think?
About how we get along?
Yeah,
Probably.
she asked if there were any like problems about how we.
Anything to flag or work on? Any opportunities, as they say?
In what area?
And how the three of us work together.
No, I think we're doing pretty good.
Good.
Yeah, we're all
So,
doing just fine. We're gonna learn, we're gonna grow,
Sure.
we're 6 months in. So maybe it'll devolve from here. Maybe we hit the high
you
point.
guys are.
Yeah.
We're still in our
People
honeymoon
don't
Yeah, I was
phase.
just saying, come back after the honeymoon phase and, we'll all be,
Wait,
At
at
each
least till
other's
next
throats.
year.
Yeah.
Right.
what do you mean?
And that's, I mean, when there's big issues, I'm gonna hear that from your manager and try to get ahead before it disintegrates into the news, being on the news for it.
I think
Um,
all of us know not to take things personally.
That's a really important thing to do. I wish a lot more people knew how to do
I
that.
don't think any of us are wrapped up in our egos, or we're trying to set it aside.
Yeah, that does show. So,
Can we just ask our two staff, like, do you all see in terms of our dynamic or how we work together, any flags that we should watch out for?
No, I have been thrilled at how well y'all are working together. I mean, and I've been with a number of boards since 2016, and so frankly, I think y'all are more cohesive and work better together than they often did. So I think you're doing a great job.
You can also have a different opinion, Chris.
No, I know,
Just-
no, but
okay.
I know,
Okay, great.
I'm a lawyer, I know how to tell the truth and take the reaction from that, but that's, it's, no, I'm being honest, and I tell people outside of this room that all the time about how
That's awesome.
pleased I am at how well y'all work together and how well y'all work with us too. That's supportive as well.
that's pretty unique and you should be really proud of it. And keep it up after that.
Yeah.
Janice, what do you think?
I feel the same way, I think, there are times when you all don't agree, we don't all agree, but I think what's really great is that we can look at all the information and even if we agree to disagree, do it respectfully, and I think that's huge, cause you're not always gonna agree about everything. So I do really appreciate that when you guys don't agree, everybody's objectively trying to look at the information to say, I'm maybe not gonna agree with you, but it doesn't, you don't ever come back in feeling like the next decision is like this tense, like driven by emotion. It's like you can leave the disagreement to move on to the next topic and approach it like a human, and that's nice.
There's a good level of emotional maturity amongst the three of you in your working relationship, which is good to see, because that has also not always been the case, and there's nothing more uncomfortable for anybody in the room than when commissioners are attacking each other.
Yes.
Come hang out with us, Andy. Again.
I am right now.
I know, I love it. That's cool.
That's amazing. So you have been drinking from the fire hose, and I also applaud how you tackled this learning curve, because there's so often a commissioner mentoring an incoming commissioner, and you guys didn't get to have that, so that's an awesome job, and as you mature as a board, I do encourage, and it's so hard to step back from the day-to-day, but I do encourage some strategic planning of some kind, or whatever. I use kind of strategic planning and goals and all those terms interchangeably, it doesn't matter, it's your North Stars. Having those conversations, if there are whole like retreats that Candace put together, that we do that all day, or even if you guys are taking, the three of you, an hour to say, we can't keep messing with this, we've gotta focus on this. And being able to talk like, okay, yes, the agenda's this long, but our 4 things this year are, and this doesn't serve that. So it's a really powerful thing to develop, that sort of like culture between the three of you, and then for your staff is like, it gives you like a superpower to be able to shake off the other stuff. The better that you know your North Stars, the more that easily that you're gonna be able to limit distractions and things that don't serve your budget well for meeting your goals. So that's one of the tools for being able to tackle that issue that you brought up with all the folks asking for all the things. I was at a presentation from the Southern Ute tribe, and they've become really successful, and they weren't always successful. And here, I don't know, 30 years ago, they had great leadership, and they decided that their big picture was to take care of their folks to the, extent possible, like all their dreams. They have free daycare and housing and all these, the way that they wanted to take care of their tribe was through that stability. And that's the North Star that they used to serve their long-term fiscal stability. That's why they started getting into oil and gas and all these diverse revenue streams, and made sure that what they had was multiplied in order to benefit the folks in their tribe. So just an example of the big picture, establishing your top priorities. That can look like a formal plan or just having that conversation. Let's see. Didn't go there. So, working together as a board can also look like keeping each other accountable to make sure that you're being supportive and respectful to staff. Making sure that there's always gonna be some tension there because you have different priorities and different reasons for doing things. But making sure that in general, the perception is that you have your staff's back is mission critical for success. So you've developed a successful partnership, but here's some obstacles. All board members might not see themselves as members of the same team, so that can sort of be when one or two of you has like a pet project and they're sort of like, oh, it's just need to know. It's important to just over provide information so that siloing doesn't start to happen, like especially with 3 people. Just not knowing creates like or a little fissure in your teamwork sort of culture, so.
How do you balance that with like information overload?
Sure, I think just clear delegation and expectation, so what's it, Dutch Henry?
Just let it go.
It's going to be a little ski area.
Yeah.
So Elsa's gonna say, I'm taking this on and I'll report back to you at the December meeting. Setting up to sort of, I know you have a million things going on, I know you guys don't want everything, but just so there's sort of just making sure that that your teamwork is communicated as far as like, you got this, I got this, we'll circle back.
I think that we saw the repercussions of that from the last
Last
board more than we see it in this board,
Yeah.
like the sustainability grant, the water enterprise,
Animal shelter.
the animal shelter, like each
Oh, God, I
board
forgot the
member.
animal shelter.
Oh, we
I
haven't,
know, I'm sorry.
look at the top of Andy's, look at that. But the point is that each one of them like had this pet project that they did not, they didn't get the rest of the team on board. I wouldn't say that they didn't give information, they didn't look for like building consensus and momentum, and so they just went
Right,
with it and then
that's-
drove it home at the end.
None
And
of your individual priorities need to be anything that's not supported by the other two. And
Right.
another good litmus test is if it could make another commissioner nervous as far as like entering into grant contracts or something like that. They're nervous about not having that consensus, so it's another good litmus test. I know you all have a lot of work to do and you can't share everything with everybody, but
I think it's why the North Stars are so important, because when you come up with the the task list, which that's really what this is the task that we wanna get done. That's where the North Stars are importantly. Is this managing our delayed maintenance and assets? Does this task support that if it's your goal? And like just saying.
Worse does it impact our ability to do the North Stars negatively, right?
We should, have 3 lines going from, one from each of our names to that North Star list above our individual
That was
things.
one of my reorganization ideas.
Well,
Well, it's just a muscle that you're
Well, and I
building.
wasn't even with you guys when I think
oh my god,
most of that happened, so.
from the beginning, it was a mess, like our strategic retreat. We don't even need to talk about that, but this
Start now.
This
Forward
became
only.
like a weird, okay, after 3 months, let's all check in. And I don't even, we did this check-in and it's like, okay, I don't know what this means. Okay, so are we gonna get to actually do that today, or Randy, or are we gonna get to do that a different? We're not doing that today. Well, it's
We
like 2.5
can talk about-
hours,
we
I
can
didn't know what we were gonna do today.
About whatever you wanna talk about, but my suspicion is that this needs reorganized in a way that's consistent with
Yes.
your top priority conversations that you're gonna have. And there's no way you could have had that yet.
Well, we tried to do that, it was like the very first thing that we did, and it was like, what?
Yeah.
We barely know each other's
know.
names.
And know what we're doing, but here's what we're gonna put at the top of the list of county priorities,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, yeah. Okay, we're gonna direct
Right.
staff for the next 3 years.
I can-
So we-
9 years.
Wow.
Do you do that with people? It'd be nice to have you as a facilitator.
Candace, can you put that on
Yeah.
our menu?
I really
on there.
like to, like I said, I really like to see, I'd like to set up like a 2-year strategic plan. But be having this, maybe a refresher every other year and just sort of reestablishing the whole thing every other year.
Yeah.
So I like to do some kind of intensive staff and elected official surveying. And kind of run a bunch of queries on all that data and start with the basics of like what you're agreeing on, what you're having some division around. And then just sort of work all day talking through what serves, what doesn't, and so what I come up with, and I'm free and you get what you pay for. You can get a lot more elaborate strategic planning work done with a consultant. But what we come up with together is your top strategies, objectives, whatever terms you're comfortable with sort of why it's important, a task list that achieves it, who's responsible for that, and other kind of notes from the day that we spend on that, important things about it. So that's how I like to do that, and these would show up there, but in a more like I don't have words, I'll just in a way that serves
I
that.
speak that language.
Perfect. It serves a priority. Okay, any other thoughts? So this is something I really see often that's really harmful, is moving on after a close vote or a contentious issue. And I've seen that here, not with you guys.
Yeah.
But this is a really damaging thing, and it's actually a good time for you all to set up expectations. I don't know if you have like a code of ethics or conduct that you follow, but it's a good time to talk about this type of thing. Like, for example, it's pretty unethical to your other board members to go out, to a bar after you voted no on something but it passed and say, yeah, but I didn't do it. It's something that you have to move on and have your organizations back on, even if you voted no. That's really hard to do, everyone has an ego, but it's really, really, really important for the health of the organization to let it go.
What if you've had like, say with your spouse, you were like, I'm really glad these guys voted the way they did on something because I was wrong. Like,
That's too healthy, no.
well, cause I mean, I'm
No.
just,
We're married to our
Like you feel like for your,
you need to talk to your staff. I mean, to talk to your spouse.
Yeah,
Like to-
like,
to-
and just using that as an example, cause I'm just basing
No,
this
that's-
reality, but like.
That's a really good way to frame it, like when you felt like you couldn't represent your constituency without voting a certain way, but you're glad it went the way it did.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good way to talk about, or just kind of say this is what the decision that was made and we're moving forward to the public, right? Just to make sure it's understood that you're with the majority vote regardless, so. Let's see, we've talked about board and staff don't always speak the same language. You guys have constraints, okay, you're not volunteer for the most part. But this, you have a chair, but there's not really a hierarchy. So that can get, it's very democratic and could be a little confusing with no chain of command, right? Or it's harder to resolve things, together than it would be if there's just a boss. This is kind of a, as professional managers, we can, measure our metrics, there's an official way to do that, and there's, clear, clear walking orders for how to improve your performance when you're an employee, and your job's not like that, and that can be kind of difficult because, sometimes your only feedback is people yelling at you on Facebook.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a constraint of yours, and an open meetings requirement is of course, a tough one because you have to be mindful of what you're saying and how you're behaving and how, you're interacting with each other all the time just for legal reasons, so. The staff constraints is multiple bosses. That's easier for you all to manage and you seem to do a really good job with it, understanding that Candace is beholden to you. And probably Chris to some degree, however you have that set up, but that you don't have business, with other, employees as far as a supervisory relationship. That's a really important thing to remember, a thing that was a little murky in the past in Lake County, and a thing that can kind of, get you into hot waters, acting outside the scope of your authority, as an elected official is something that, you can get like personally held liable for. Changing agendas is, go ahead,
Randy, so sorry.
you're fine.
Can you give an example of that?
Can you elaborate on that?
Like how we could be held personally responsible for being outside of our authority regarding supervision?
So another partner organization, CIRSA, is the Intergovernmental Risk Sharing Agency, has quite a few stories about, do you guys use CIRSA? I think we have. They have a wonderful handbook called the Elected Officials Liability Handbook thingy, probably, it has all those words in there.
I'm sure that's what it's called.
CIRSA. So there's a chapter in that, and I weirdly think it's chapter 7. But it's way better at explaining it than me, but there is, you don't see it as much in counties, like an example would be, a city trustee, sort of is the de facto, blue collar guy, so he ends up sort of interfering a lot in Public Works' business. And ends up telling a Public Works employee something that is contrary to the board as a whole, or worse, that puts the public employee in a compromising situation that's having multiple bosses or people perceived as employees or the folks in power giving different directions on how to do their job. So please check out that,
I've got it, I'll send them a copy if you did,
That would be
I thought it
Thank
would
you,
have been
Chris.
in your onboarding materials, but if not, or if it, in theory and notes, I'll just send you a fresh copy.
chapter 7.
Thank you.
it's really, really, really worth sitting down and reading. Cause it's basically how to CYA in lots of different ways, but that's one of the chapters.
CYA.
Cover your butt.
So limited resources, of course, changing agendas just means that and this is, as with a great many things, an issue that can be greatly reduced through policy, so making sure that you have a really clear agenda policy is important. What can be put on an agenda and by whom? How much in advance to an agenda item you guys need your packet information. Expectations from the staff, expectations that all elected officials read all their packet information. You can lay that out in a policy if you don't have one, and if there's tension around that, this is a good idea. Mixed messages is kind of the same thing, especially if there's plenty of division on your board. Listening. I think it's really challenging to be being recorded and having a room full of maybe grouchy people, not to be thinking of how you're gonna respond while you're still hearing someone else, especially your staff and electeds. That's really a struggle, and I think it's seen as like egotistical, but I do it a lot because I'm like really nervous about what I'm gonna say and how it's gonna be perceived, so I think it's really important for elected officials to just have the confidence to, and not be afraid to pause a minute and listen and think about what you're gonna say after, take that time to think about that after you finish hearing somebody out. Just a good reminder.
I so value that, thank you.
You're welcome.
So like, I know it's not the case, but you're like, that was going right into my brain as something I need to self-improvement.
I'm not here to
focus.
judge you, I'm just offering helpful tips from other organizations.
It's also relieving to know that it's like probably widespread enough that it's part of a topic.
Yeah, I think it's just human nature. I think this is especially annoying as a commissioner, you know, when you're on a board of trustees, there's like 7 of them, so you can get away with more. But it is hard to, especially in a small community. To maintain conduct. This is another area that if there's issues can be improved with policy, code of conduct and or ethics that you can use to express your expectations to each other around. What else do we have? So these kind of go together. A lot of the issues that we have in small counties and communities is that boards were unwilling to tackle things. And honestly, a priority, when you sit down and talk about your top priorities and your North Stars, oftentimes that's not gonna look like your hopes and dreams for the future of Lake County. That should sort of look like, we absolutely have to get this thing solved, handled, figured out. And using that as like, we are not going to be able to if we're focusing on all this other stuff. So that is a tool to use with these. And to be able to come together on those. Successful relationship with professional staff, of course, is again, none of any of your legislation gets actually carried out without that. So, don't be afraid to use your manager to help you do what you wanna do and look good while you're doing it. So we talked a little bit about like trying to make a hard decision, trying to get all these things done, and understanding that we're hiring right now. But thinking about spending a little time to think about, as a commissioner, what do you need most from staff? Around making decisions, around tackling things, as a county, is a good, thing that, to communicate about and be really clear about. I don't remember if this is later, so I apologize if it is. Really clear direction is really important, so your staff understands what they are to be carrying out. That can even get as detailed as like making sure you're making really good motions. And making sure that the walking orders and the what and by when is crystal clear and everybody understands, right?
Can I just dovetail on, just
Yes,
comment on
ma'am.
that if you don't
Please.
mind? I know that with the last board, because there wasn't clear collaboration on all things, we did run into some issues, especially towards the end of last year, with one commissioner having something that they really wanted to push staff to do, that it wasn't clear if their other colleagues were on board with that, so.
Yeah,
And it makes us squirm when we don't have that clear,
yeah,
as to whether we're responding to the will of the board or to an individual commissioner.
Here's a good rule, only give direction in a meeting or when you're together. Kinda takes that right out of the, you know?
Mhm.
Pretty good policy to have. Okay, establishing goals and setting priorities, so we've, so we talked about what the point of all of this is and why we all show up for public service. And we've talked about the basics in statute of your role. But another thing that I'm starting to bring up is, I think it was CCI or one of the other 11 conferences in June. But it was talking about a time of austerity, or a time that we're looking at, we had a jillion resources and used them to the extent that it was even possible for a few years, and now we're moving into this time of austerity or having to really focus in on what we have, not being able to count on resources from outside sources, and maybe even a paring down of what it is that we are able to responsibly handle as an organization. So, to that end, keeping your safety, infrastructure, and economy are really what I guess the North Stars of all governments are. What you need to be keeping in mind. So we've talked about most of this, but just reiterating this part. North Stars, board goals, whatever, required to accomplish even routine work. Even like how does Candace design her day? Is really something that can be strongly influenced by this. There's a responsibility to your community to keeping Lake County resilient and prosperous for the future. Is the ability to only accomplish those things that you're able to accomplish and in the order of priority. Enough of a lack of that means nothing is getting accomplished to help Lake County. So clarification of purpose just helps with like that organizational culture of understanding, your staff understanding what it is that we're doing here. This is really maybe 90% of the entire point, is that it appropriately prioritizes your resources. So hugely in the budget is where this is most important, is like when you say it's most important, the budget is your moral document to prove it, right? But also important as far as like making staff chase down something that's not really serving those goals because of a public pressure is not an appropriate prioritization of resources according to your goals. And design according to what is comfortable, meaning it's not gonna do a lot of good if your strategic plan feels completely impossible, right? So keeping your limitations in mind, and the limitations of your budget and your staff. Where am I? There it is. So this is just kind of some, how you could go about it, but I do think it's really important to, enlist others. And in your, I can just provide this to you guys.
And I'm just,
No, I do
The
it all
more
the time.
places I put something, the more times I see it, the
I
better
know,
it
totally.
burns into
It's
my
same exact
frontal
thing,
lobe.
same exact thing. I was just offering. So, I think it's important, particularly for you guys to, I mean, this is kind of vague things to do, but really enlist community folks and, bring in when you have all those intense different pressures from different groups in town, nonprofits and other folks that really need help. To sort of challenge like, how you can get it done together and with mainly their participation as opposed to, you guys kind of being Lake County's parents. Encouraging a little bit more problem solving, on behalf of those interest groups. So this is also just kind of common sense, but especially when we get to priority setting, you're not gonna have all of the same priorities. You're 3 different people. And so thinking about what is the hill that you're gonna die on and communicate to your 2 colleagues that fact, and what are the things that you can compromise on in order to get to those North Stars. I could not find, which kind of surprised me, I know people can get kind of worn out on mission, vision, values. I think it's important just to have a statement that you can all get behind, and especially core values. So, you know, fiscal integrity, communication, and XYZ is, you know, most important to us, and that'll be part of your kind of strategic plan. Just like an agreement on things that we're holding most dear as a government. I kind of feel like, this would have been more useful 5 months ago, so I'm gonna breeze through it because I think you know it all. But please stop me, if you don't. Of course, all the materials and the packet and all of that organizing and information management and agenda management is really important to how you do your job, how well you do your job. Getting it in your hands is a really important role from your staff, and you guys actually consuming it before the meeting and understanding it, and I know that can be so hard sometimes. Super important responsibility. Do you want me to close this?
Sorry, I didn't know how to do that.
Just click off, yeah, that, yeah.
Thanks a lot, Matt.
Yeah, interrupted the proceedings.
Of course, regular meetings, you understand, they're noticed, they're open to the public, procedural, non-procedural. Special meetings, not so much. You guys have a lot of special meetings?
I have a few.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know how you qualify a lot,
Like you have so many.
but yeah,
We have
and
enough.
especially, we've just got a lot going on,
Sure.
and so
Yeah.
there are a lot of times where, and we have adopted a new process where anything for a regular meeting has to be turned in
2 weeks ahead of time.
ahead of time.
Dang,
And
that's
so we
awesome.
do have things that pop up in that period that sometimes we can't get on the regular meeting agenda, so we need to do
Of course.
special.
Well,
They
they can
have a
be-
meeting to find out we need to have 5 more. I'm like, have your stuff.
I have so many of those meetings about meetings. this can be annoying for your public, but as long as you're communicating clearly, it can be a way for you to be much more agile. Work sessions, you know about, have to be noticed. Don't necessarily have to occur in chambers, so that's a good way to do a strategic planning retreat or a similar such event. And of course, a way to attend all of your various functions without having an open meeting law violation. Executive session, you know about, that's Chris's purview, always do whatever she says. Can only for certain reasons, you're familiar. Couple more rules on that. You guys did a lot of like ex parte stuff
We've done,
at
on the
the very beginning, yeah. So I'll cruise through this, but just as a refresher, 101 is good, but be careful of ex parte communications, which just means that if you have a decision item that is quasi judicial or affecting someone's individual property right, you need to get out your liability handbook, ask for a refresher from Chris, basically just don't talk about it outside of that public hearing. This is how you make decisions. Who is your chair? Oh yeah, that's probably why you were introducing the meeting. I'll catch up. It's a really big responsibility. I think especially with all the things that we've been talking about, being able to separate those top priorities from things that might be distractions. And you're setting the tone, ensuring civility. There you go, here's your opportunity, the listener. You're also the timekeeper, so that can be kind of, that can be sort of a challenge is figuring out that tact of how to let people know it's time to land their plane. In a way that's really kind and respectful, that's
You so speak my language. Thank you for the analogies.
You bet. And part of that is when things are really contentious is to make sure that you're maintaining control over the meeting. That's a have to. Let's see here. And I think I have a note that I think will be right here. It does depend on your community, but I think the right tone. Going for over casual is kind of a pitfall. Because just in these chambers, even though this is a very casual community, the best tone is civil and relatively formal, just to be able to maintain that control over the meeting. So.
You can definitely work on that.
Oh, me too, it's probably never gonna happen for me, but I wish you the best of luck. So this is a good tip that I think I've witnessed in meetings and Lake County's been good at. Thank people for their testimony or whatever they contribute to the room. Just be emotionally intelligent, watch for nonverbal clues, kind of this is really important, and especially around planning, that those can be, people can be pissed off politically, but they are also that's your home and place and property or where you grow up, or things that are deeply intensely personal. So trying to have some empathy around, even if you're on way opposite side of the fence of maybe an angry public, that there's a reason there, and thinking about that as far as your reactions and how you react in public. Show extraordinary patience, also something I offer as advice that I'm not following so good.
Oh my god, she's in my office on my like portrait wall.
He's in my office and all my presentations.
Yeah. Icon.
So not being prepared or not asking enough questions, and this goes back to like if an issue won't just die, you can't figure it out. It can very often be that you don't have the right information and you need to sit down and figure out what it is that would get you there, get you to a decision. So that can be hard but worth sitting down with if you're having a really hard time with a particular topic. Never ask for a vote of the audience, seen it, doesn't work.
Oh my god, that sounds chaotic.
And I think, of course, showing bias before decision is made is not really a good like ethical leadership decision, but if it's quasi judicial and affecting someone's property right, that can even get you in hot water, right?
What would like an example of bias before decision, like if it was something that would be an easy pitfall, like would be easy to overlook or easy like, boy, I really have a lot of thoughts on this, but I can't talk about it, like is that?
Well, that would be your posture if you were in a quasi judicial decision is can't talk about it, thanks. Her name's Chris, you can call her. But I think that like, say a nonprofit group really wanted a project to happen, everyone's hearts and minds are behind it, but you know it's not feasible ahead of time, cause you've read your packet. I think sort of casually saying that before you've heard them out is probably not a great way just like ethically or as a leader to set the tone, like hearing people fairly I think is just a good best practice.
We'll listen to you, but it's never gonna happen.
That's a steep
I
hill
don't
to
know if
climb,
that's
but yeah,
exactly
go
the
ahead and
tone.
say.
You're respecting the process over like
Yeah.
making sure that your
Yeah.
opinion is heard.
Yeah, that's right.
Like
So,
can I give an example?
please.
I think like, well, a couple weeks ago when Brenna was in here talking about that building, the
Heritage Museum.
Heritage Museum, it's like, we know that that's gonna be complicated financially, like pretty unfeasible, she knows that too. But like, we're gonna listen to it first, we're gonna have the conversation first before we just like slap it
You're gonna
down.
walk up there with you
Yeah,
guys
let's-
and walk all through the building
Yeah.
and look at everything and listen to everything you have to
You hear
say.
people out before you share what your opinion is, even if you have an opinion
100%.
before, you don't show your bias before it's decision time.
I think that's a responsibility of an elected official. I mean,
You don't come in,
that's,
You don't come
that's
in
why you have
gaslighting.
constituents.
yeah.
So the other piece that I think is a really big mistake, and I'm sure you all already have a example in your head, but attempting to be an architect or an engineer or an attorney or an applicant or a business owner, so that's essentially sort of with every individual decision you make, trying to have more expertise than you do. So that's just sort of which is to say, like you are consulting an engineer when you need to be consulting an engineer and asking them to contribute their expertise to the conversation. Not trying to sort of fill in the blanks. It's something I see happens a lot, and I think that piece and just not asking enough questions is just a humility thing. To sort of be able to say, wait, hold on, I don't understand, I need more expertise on this, like how does this work, or
This one's a little fuzzy for me because there's been times where someone who doesn't have longtime local knowledge or intimate views of situations will come in and look at things purely from architectural design standpoints and you know, you're not like trying to tell them to do their job, but it's also, it's gotta be okay to be like,
no, that's
hey,
your
from what I
expertise.
know of this, like that might not work out really good because during this time of year, we have this event and there's a bunch of stuff that happens over there and that, you know,
Totally. That's your expertise, that's your job,
okay,
as opposed to sort of making assumptions when you should be getting more expertise. Like again, a big part of your job is getting the knowledge gaps filled that you have in
Okay,
order to make the best decisions, so.
okay,
Does that make sense?
yes, it makes more sense for me now, thank you.
Awesome.
Oh,
I follow all of
Decision
the Leadville,
all of them?
I got the Bijamo and I got all
Great.
the, both.
Keep me posted, cause
Yeah, 'cause we're not on
I
it.
don't anymore.
It's a sick, I do it for all my communities, it's kind of a sick hobby of mine.
You do monitor or you don't? Oh, you do.
I do follow them.
it's
I don't
weird.
spend a whole lot of time, it's very boring to do, so. You guys have a really moderate social media presence as Lake County, right? Yes, you do.
Yeah.
But this is, for you as individuals, the biggest pitfall that I see among elected officials is trying to set the record straight and even defend their staff on social media, which can be super noble. It sounds super noble, but it's a harmful thing that just, it's never worth it to get into it. So if you wanna, if social media is one of your tools of choice, consider a social media policy if you don't already have one, and leave it to staff is really the takeaway there. I don't think there's a real issue with this group. We talked about this, but well-prepared motions really helps your staff do their job. It takes some effort, you can ask your staff to provide ahead of time. And again, if you don't have enough meetings and agenda policy, okay. Another part of that is conditions one at a time, make your break down complex motions.
You said that most in like public land use. That motion making and
Those can
and
be time consuming.
conditions, et cetera, yeah.
Sure. Super important to take your time and get it right. So, and then that just kind of goes back to having the guts to put your North Stars first and make the right decision even when folks aren't so happy about it. Chris's purview, open meetings, I think you know the basics. The Colorado Governmental Immunity Act is again limited to elected officials when they're acting within the scope of their duties, so get your little Thirsta book. And it's really good if you have trouble sleeping, just read that before bed until it's done to understand more about what that is. This is just some review on what can get you into hot water. Prejudging a matter, particularly with quasi-judicial stuff. Engaging in ex parte contacts, and that means that if you appear to, again, as your role of a commissioner, if there's even a perception that you're having conversations or being influenced in some way when it's a public hearing issue, that can get you into trouble, and it's really hard to toe that line, especially in a small town. Make a decision that clearly violates established rules that's hidden behind Mr. Mayhem, of course. Acting beyond the scope of your authority, of course. Never, I think I already said this, always do what Chris says, no matter what. And then to ignore or act outside of your normal procedures, of course.
Can you give us any examples, Randy,
Which one?
of any of those, like, really, we'll read the book, absolutely, but just, you've seen a lot, so can you tell us about a time where, a commissioner got themselves in trouble?
Probably
They're
too many
interesting
examples.
stories.
Let me think about it. The thing that comes to mind is, visiting. Visiting a property, snooping around, talking to the neighbors, talking to folks about a quasi judicial land use matter.
Yeah.
That's one I have seen go a little bit awry. Nothing else is gonna be like coming to mind, sorry. I
Okay.
didn't come up
The
with-
last one is one that I'm kinda like, ignore or act outside of bounds of established procedures or ordinances. So
So
like, I'm building a garage in my backyard without getting a permit, I'm not doing that, I'm
that
just
can
like,
totally be one.
okay.
But that doesn't matter who you are, that,
Or a disposition of county property where you have an ordinance that tells you how that process should go and it's not convenient, so you're like, let's do it different instead.
Yeah,
And then word gets out that you've done it different and the public is not happy with that.
and could this be even down to like, I bring my dog in on Mondays against our pet
Oh.
policy?
Dog out of here.
Yeah, that's
I mean, I'm just, how,
if the optics, that's more of an
Yeah.
optic one,
okay,
Right,
and not one that can get you in
it's
legal
just bad
trouble.
leadership, I guess,
right.
I was
But if
thinking of,
some-
sorry,
Go ahead. Please.
I think it was Montrose this year.
they've been crazy over there.
Yeah, Montrose and
But
Delco.
Oh my
the board was, I believe, my understanding was that they were being completely inappropriate and really taking their own personal items that they interest and forcing them on staff individually, and the entire executive staff quit
Yeah,
because people's personal items, personal task lists
they were
were
pretty,
becoming the
Yeah,
priority
there's
of the
where-
whole county rather than having North Stars.
that was above the North Star.
Yeah,
yes.
Okay,
and then they were also, I think some of the things were like inappropriate, like from
Racist.
outside groups and,
Yeah.
personal bias
So
was not
that
good.
can be, that's a crappy thing to do, that is, doesn't have any value North Stars, but it can also escalate to violating the ethics
Yeah,
if there's a
that's what I think of
financial,
ethical.
any kind of like financial or personal gain to be had, so this is more about if you, the governmental immunity that you're protected by, this is when you lose it. As opposed to ethics is kind of a different conversation because there's, to some extent, there's some things, in Colorado state statute, like a conflict of interest where you're getting a financial gain from something that you're forcing on your staff and the fellow board members. And correct me, I'm not an attorney, your attorney's right over there, but and some basics as far as what all elected officials and government staff are expected to do in Colorado, but you can take those too. And do your own ethics code that takes a little further, and some things I've seen in those that go above and beyond is like when one of you has your some topic that gets under your skin and you just spiral and won't land your plane about it, that's maybe not an ethical issue, but it is super disrespectful to everyone's time and your fellow board members, and you're preventing your North Stars from being accomplished, at the rate they need to be accomplished, so you can cover more of that kind of thing, of like how do you wanna be with each other and as an organization that can be a good like culture establishing, to
Highest
set up
best.
something like that.
highest best use of time, I have one or two distractions on there that are definitely taking up more time than I'd like.
I'm not here to personally attack y'all.
No, this is more of like, self-growth and thinking real hard about prioritizations and being better at my job.
And I can give you an analogy too, just from my personal, it's somewhat similar to attorneys who, ethically have to put aside any self-interest, self-perception, whatever, to act in the best interest of the client. And for y'all, that applies with your client being your constituents. And so even if it's a situation where your personal best interest will not be served and it might be detrimental to you, you still have that ethical obligation to put that aside.
Correct. And if it's, even if you're not legally like having an ethics violation, there's often still the moral thing to do for your community, so.
Well, I feel like, where I'm at with one or two, so one subject specifically is that the community really wants to see something and I'm like diving into it, but it's also like distracting me from North Star goals. So it's
Which
like I'm
is-
not
that's
just doing
hard.
a disservice to the
That's really
community,
hard.
it's more of like, it is
Cause
just
if there's a
major.
new thing, where does it land in your prioritization list, and you don't really know that for a while.
Mhm.
But also you had a
And
slide
that's-
that was like doing the popular thing is not always doing the right thing.
Right,
Like
so,
doing what
Well,
everybody
but
is
maybe a
clamoring
better
about is
example
not
though
always-
is like, the North Stars, if they existed, would have gone out the window last summer when the fire happened.
yeah,
So, you have to be agile, but, as far as just like a standard course of business, I think it's just important to build that into your planning. You don't need to know everything, which I think this group knows well, is 3 new ones. And this is really, really hard, so it's important. Okay, Liz,
I
listen.
know,
She's
Listen,
scheduling
Liz.
all the,
meetings,
This is really hard work and your role is not to, you're not able to know everything. Your responsibility is to take in the time you need to make a good decision, even if there's a lot of pressure not to. Take care of yourself as much as you're taking care of your community, remember your self-care. And thanks for your service. That's a lot. We did talk about kind of more of a budget focused presentation. I kind of feel like this is a lot to digest for once. And I would like to invite you guys to do one with our local government services team, if you wanna do that. I mean, the basics of budget are that you've gotta start working on it now, you need enough work sessions to communicate what you need to communicate. You need a draft by October 15th and have it done by December 15th is the basics of that, and just a reminder to not get lost in the weeds as elected officials and make sure you're approaching the budget as a big picture, but certainly more to come on that. Candace, do you have anything?
no, I would wanna
Huge
try to
that I
get with
missed.
them soon, just cause we're all so new to the budget process here.
Mm-hmm.
And we were hoping to do that before, I'm gonna start working with departments, have meetings with departments all the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
To start getting them lined out on their budget, but especially for these guys, the budget is very brand new and just understanding like, what are the key deadlines? What are each person's rules? I tend to probably over communicate without getting into the like minutia of the budget, but I think the more clarity people have about the budget, the less questions you get on the back end because they understand how we got here, what is being asked for, so maybe to try to get that lined up before we're at the point that we're presenting to them in August if I possibly can. I think on this was a great like overview of for me, I wasn't with them when they did all of their
On
this
board
training,
stuff.
so this was nice for me.
Thank you.
So we appreciate you coming to talk with us.
Yeah, I feel like there's some elements in the beginning of us putting the cart before the horse. As far
That was
as,
bound to happen, that was always bound to happen.
I want to go get a big wad of damp paper towel right now.
No, I'm gonna
No.
take a
And-
picture of this, cause these are still important,
Well,
like
that
this,
was-
this is some data that we can feed into.
What I was suggesting
Yeah.
was that each of us take a picture of our little list.
Sure.
Wipe the thing clean, put our North Star up and then, you
Cause we
know,
have our
Populate.
board priorities.
Yeah.
Like we did come up with, it was a lot,
it was,
but we have them and it's what our staff have been working off of, so
Well, I
even
think
just
that
remembering.
that is a good, communication to the public in the boardroom even.
Yeah.
yeah,
But,
I do like that element too.
yeah,
I feel like it should be, you ever watch, I don't watch golf, I know from Happy Gilmore, how like the scores, they have those like name things that are always sliding with the difference. I wish I could kinda have my list like that, so I could move them on like a prioritization scale, like, okay, knowing what I know now, this one's going down here, this one has to go up here, and just for the stuff under my name, because.
Well, let's think about like winter, fall. You know, using your priorities to feed into your upcoming budget season. And winter, fall, setting up a strategic
Yeah.
retreat and working
Winter
on
meeting
that.
in September or.
Who's winter, Randy?
Fall is 15 minutes.
I could get here so much faster if it was blizzarding the whole way from Crete.
If we pay our own way, can we do those meetings somewhere warm and tropical?
Totally, just notice it.
I'll go,
Yeah,
I'm happy to do that.
I will do it 100% off the county
So
time.
Salida.
Yeah.
Anywhere else?
Totally.
Those are the
Sorry,
places
now I
that
didn't
save our
notice.
shoulder seasons
Yeah.
for me
Here,
personally.
take your
my
mouse
fault.
back.
Sorry.
So that's it, I need to go grab lunch and steal Candace's office for the rest of the afternoon.
Go get it.
Can I ask a question before you go?
Please.
Just in terms of like big picture, like we've been talking about, what are the county commissioner's role when it comes to other electeds? Specifically because we're in charge of the money, but also all of everybody's staff is under us.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I think it would be lovely to know where we go for the information about where are the lines between elected officials and the staff that work under them versus.
And the elected officials are and are not in charge of the budget is another weird line that you have.
Yeah, so like where should we go for that training or that delineation?
Yeah, that'd be really helpful, cause we
have that come up all the
continue to
time.
We
have
have struggles.
issues with elected officials and their fiefdoms and
Mm-hmm.
their perceptions of.
That's
Just
not what happens.
clarity around what's written in statute, because a lot of times it seems like there
Yeah.
are statutes written and the interpretation of them
Yes.
is not always accurate and help it, you know.
And we're the only ones with an attorney.
The statutes skew to perception
It's whatever you'd hope
depending on
they'd say.
who is, yeah.
I am gonna check out some resources and get them to you guys, but there's not a silver bullet in a county structure.
Okay. Yeah, just any more information would be great, yeah, I feel like.
Sometimes feels like two colorblind people arguing over what shade of green something is.
That's
And this is
exactly.
a common topic all the
great
time
analogies.
with the county attorney's listserv.
Oh, yeah.
We go round and round
Oh,
and
yeah.
round with these issues.
And same with
all the time.
CCI. But let me see so my supervisor, the division director, worked for CCI for years and years and years, so
Cool.
he's really a wonderful resource and just kinda wanna pick his brain about the best practices within the confines of being a county in the state of Colorado.
Awesome.
I know.
Just still, a lot of cooks in the kitchen. Okay, thanks so much, all of you, for
Thank you,
letting me
Amy.
have
Thank
some
you so
time.
much.
Thanks for coming up.
Yeah,
That's great, come hang out anytime.
okay, I will. Is it just gonna be open? Yeah. Be back at like 10 till.
Yes, it is open.
Thank you so much for lending me your office.
Yes.
And if you're ever up here
What do you
at
do?
the office,
Feel where the brain was
6 or 7
coming from.
years, and we actually have
It's
an
light,
extra
I'm like, do the LED ones
to-
put
No
these?
kidding.
It just hit me, like, it was
Thank you
like,
so
I
much.
like,
If
just
you're ever
like,
up here and
almost
Well,
like I just
I
went
didn't
by
think
fast.
so,
Maybe
but
that's lunch.
we've had
Thank you.
interviews all
Maybe
afternoon.
that was actually your blood sugar.
Can't skip them.
Maybe.
Crash.
I've never
Good
felt
thing
this
I have
that way.
friends around
It's like
here.
weird.
Yes.
good to see you.
Thanks,
Take care.
guys.
See you,
Bye,
Randy,
Randy.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
The
Do you wanna?
In the reporting here.
directed energy weapons,
Yeah.
it is 12:19 PM, according to that clock, we will conclude today's work session of the Lake County Board of County Commissioners. Thank you, staff, thank you,
Thank you.
commissioners.
Thank you, Chair.